Today, I'm going to review the new Hourglass Liquid blushes. I purchased all 7 shades. We're going to look at each one in detail. I've got arm swatches in this indoor lighting, also outside in natural light. I'll apply each one so you can see what they really look like on the cheeks. How do they compare to the Armani blushes? There's a lot to talk about. Let's get started. We're going to start with the shade Scene. It's a soft, warm pink. I'm gonna take it, tap it on the cheeks. Now I've tried these before. I've done the swatches on my arm. I have done them on my cheek. I know whether they're really pigmented or not. This one in particular, I could have just put the drop straight on my cheek because it is not super pigmented. I want to build it up a little more. This time, I'm just gonna go straight and put a drop on my cheek. And look how quickly they blend. That is one of the key claims, that this formula is ultra blendable. And it is. First we're doing the pinks, then we're doing the peaches, and then the rest of the colors. So this is the first pink. Again, it's called Scene, and it's a soft, warm pink. Next up is Whim. This is a bright pink. It does have a good color payoff, but it is not as intensely pigmented as something like the Rare Beauty blushes. This is supposed to give us a natural finish, and I think it's a touch dewier than natural. This is looking pretty dewy to me. Something I wasn't expecting was for the tip here of the applicator to start getting messy, but not a super huge deal. We can wipe that off. We're about to apply Vision. In case you were wondering, I am using the Tom Ford Stick Foundation underneath. This next one is Vision. This is the last of the pinks. I do want to point out that this is the only shade that has the tiniest gold shimmer particles running through the formula. Let me put it side by side here to Whim. You see how Whim doesn't have those particles? You can clearly see that there's some shimmer. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. I can barely see it. No, I don't think you'll be able to see it because I can hardly see it. So let's put it on the cheek and see if it's visible at all. I am not setting the foundation with any powder. There's no powder on my face at all right now, well, except on my under eyes. Going to take it directly on the brush. Can I see? Okay, yes, now the shimmer particles are more apparent. You might be able to see it there. So hopefully you were able to see that shimmer I'm talking about. Now on the cheek, you see how pretty that is? Now we're gonna go in with another drop. I'm gonna put it straight on my cheek because this formula is so blendable that you can afford to put it straight on the cheek, and you see how the blend is incredible. I'm not seeing the particles of shimmer. It's so fine and so subtle. Don't let it put you off. Don't be concerned about it because, like I said, you cannot, and I'm looking at a 5x mirror and I cannot detect the actual particles of shimmer. This is beautiful. Now we're moving on to the peaches. We have a warm peach beige and a peach coral. We're gonna start with the warm peach beige. It's called Moment. This one happens to be my least favorite. It's not that I don't hate it, but it's certainly my least favorite. I got 2 dots. Let's put this on the cheek. Again, I don't hate it. It's still a pretty shade, but if I had to pick my least favorite, I think it would be this one. Oh, actually, never mind. I just looked at myself in this other mirror. I like it. Okay, I take back everything I said. Up next is my current favorite. This is Future, which is a warm coral. Here we go. And you might think that this is a lot of pigment, but you will see just a few taps. I am going to build it up. Now, Hourglass says that we can also apply it with our fingers. So let's see how that goes. You see, I'm not a fan of applying it with my finger. It did work, but I was gonna say that I'm not a fan because since this oily consistency just wants to move around, the force that your finger puts on the product, even if you try to go with a super light touch, I feel that it's moving the color around. That's why I prefer to go with a brush to give me a more even finish. 2 more shades to go. We have Imagine, which is a rich terracotta, and Craft, which is a deep berry. Now these are very pigmented. Starting with the terracotta one, I am gonna put them in the back of my hand first. 1 dot. And even though they are pigmented, you see how sheer you can get them to be. Yeah, so we don't have to be scared of it, but I don't think we can apply it directly to the cheek. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try that. So let's do another big dot here. Okay, here we go. And they all blend great. And finally, we have Craft, a deep berry. I'm gonna wipe my brush just because I am seeing a lot of pigment going on. I would normally leave it there, but you know how it goes. Just so that you can see the color really well, let's add a bit more. Let me go over the edges with my foundation brush. Just a little bit to soften the edges here. I don't know how I feel about this color. It's 9:30 in the morning. Let's get started on this wear test, and I'm gonna try to go the full 12 hours. Moisturizer, SPF, foundation, bronzer on my forehead, and here I'm applying the shade Future, which is my favorite one so far. Let's talk about the formula itself. When I first tried these, they threw me off. I was expecting more of a gel-like consistency, but it reminded me more of a fancy facial oil. It's got this really lightweight skincare feel to it. Again, more like a facial oil than a blush, and it's got this really slippery consistency. And that's why in the directions Hourglass tells you to shake it at first, because you have to re-emulsify the ingredients that are separated in there. I think it must be the pigments are separated from the skincare ingredients. And here's the thing about the oily consistency. It makes it incredibly easy to blend because it glides over the skin very easily. On the other hand though, you blend it out, you think you're done, but then you tap your cheek and it moves. Yeah, it just wants to move. It's too eager to move around, which is fine if it sets down. And we're in the middle of a 12-hour wear test right now. I've only worn it for about 30 minutes. I don't think it's gonna set down though. Oh, and shelf life. Remember how the Armani blushes are said to last 6 months. Well, Hourglass does a bit better. It has a 12-month shelf life. Still too short, in my opinion, but better than 6 months. And that's probably because of all the skincare ingredients it has, or just the lack of preservatives, which I very much miss. One of the key claims is that this is very hydrating, that you are going to see some visibly plump cheeks. I'm not saying visibly plump cheeks, but it is hydrating, that for my skin, which tends to be a little bit drier, it does feel nice. Now, regarding color payoff, some of them are more pigmented than others. For example, the Deep Berry, Craft, and Imagine. These are quite pigmented. If you take this shade Scene, which is a warm rose, I can even squeeze it directly on my cheek and tap it out and it's fine. As a matter of fact, I will go in twice to build up the pigment. So it really depends on your skin tone. They are more pigmented than the Armani blushes though. For the most part, I would say that you only need 1 drop, maybe 2 if you like a particularly blushy look. Now let's talk about the packaging because it's quite unique. It's really small. It looks sort of like a cute salt shaker. And because it's small, it's really travel friendly. You open it and you have this dropper dispenser. Makeup artists really like this packaging because it's more sanitary. They don't have to be dipping in applicators to get the product out. It's not a jar where you could potentially stick your finger in. Your fingers are not gonna come in contact with the product that's inside. So that's nice, and if you're not a makeup artist, you might just think this is cool. It's different. It's not the first time we've seen this kind of packaging. Danessa Myricks has basically the same thing here. This is her Yummy Skin Serum. It has the exact same soft rubber plastic base here that you press to dispense the product. And I believe other brands have done it too, but not many. Now this design will ensure that you get every single drop of product because since it's so fluid, nothing is going to get stuck at the bottom of the bottle. Everything is gonna flow towards the tip. Whereas with a traditional dropper or with a doe foot applicator, you will have to struggle to get to that bottom of the bottle remaining product. So how do I feel about these Hourglass Unreal Liquid blushes so far? Well, the fact that Hourglass claims that these are long lasting, they last 12 hours, my verdict is hinging upon the wear test that is happening right now. So let's wait and see. All right, so I'm editing this video and this is nuts. Once we put the check-in side by side, doesn't look like it faded at all, huh? Let me press play, let it run, see if we notice anything. I don't think so. Even the last checkout, the last check-in, this one all the way to the right, the color does not appear to have faded. This is nuts. What? Okay, time for my final thoughts. I know the audio sucks. I'm sorry. I just ordered a proper mic for when I'm sitting here in front of my computer. I'm gonna play the short I made just so that you have something to look at. All right, final thoughts. I like how easy they are to blend. I like the dewy finish, that it's not too much, not too dewy. I like the colors. Am I fully convinced that I like them? No. Why? Throughout the day, it's that oily consistency. So throughout the day, what if I touch my face? Am I gonna have to be worried that I'm smearing my blush? What if I give someone a kiss? Am I gonna transfer the blush onto the cheek? Oh, it finished. Sorry, let me just pause it. So right now, if I had to pick between the Hourglass and the Armani liquid blushes, I would go with the Armani because they have a much nicer set down. Okay. And the finish still remains looking very, very natural. It's not like they're matte and that because they're matte, they are setting down. No, they have a really nice finish, but I do like the set down from of those blushes better than Hourglass. But I don't think that this is my final conclusion. I need to continue to test them, and I will give you an update. The oily consistency of these blushes, even though they lasted all day, and I was so surprised. I need to keep testing them. I don't know. They're not an automatic love for me because of that oily consistency. Let me know what you guys think, though. I am super curious to know. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.